One of those things I've learned is depression leads to other mental illnesses, and one that's not normalized, respected, or understood so well is anger anxiety. This is one of the mental illnesses I have, and I've been alone with it for a long, long time. So without further ado, here is my journey summed up with anger anxiety. My anger anxiety is the result of bullies and verbal abuse when I was younger. I was a lot more sensitive when I was younger, so any verbal abuse or bullying, which are basically the same thing, made me cry sometimes, depending on the severity of it. I even received it when I reached adulthood by older adults, or as I like to call them, Karens. And yes, it still made me cry. And since I was sensitive, I didn't know how to react, and I had no one to talk to about it. So, one day, it finally snapped. It took me years of working in retail to realize that verbal abuse is wrong, no matter who's doing it or how old they are. So I decided to start fighting back. I'm not a violent person, so I fight back with words. And when I felt I was losing the fight in defending my own mental health and sanity, it escalated to cuss words, which helped in this personal anger therapy. And I've seen it called wrong and disrespectful when someone younger stands up for themselves when they're being verbally abused, but I didn't care. Those are just stupid words to me and absolutely mean nothing, since I've always been treated like an outcast anyway. So, I learned very young to not care what other people think of me. In deciding to stop tolerating verbal abuse, I realized that my mental health is more important than those stupid entitled Karens who think I should be more respectful just because they're older. I have every right not to tolerate their abuse, no matter how old they are, or how entitled they think they are to verbally abuse me. One of the Bible's flaws is turning the other cheek. That just leads to constant verbal abuse and mental illness issues that no one really cares about or cares to understand, and most Christians are blind to this. I realized that no one was going to listen to me or help me in this mental battle, so I'm alone. Not always, but some days I still am. The feeling that comes with verbal abuse is anger. Sometimes this anger is very strong to the point of me cussing, wanting to scream, cry, etc. My heart pounds with anger, anxiety, much like someone in fear. So anger anxiety is real, and it needs to be normalized, respected, and the person who suffers from it should never be blamed for their outbursts. It's not my fault, and it's only the fault of my verbal abusers and bullies of my past when I have an anger anxiety outburst. This is why some of us, like me, who have anger anxiety, turn to violent video games to release that anger. Not everyone can hold it in the moment, though. And I'm extremely sick and tired of people blaming violent video games on real-life violence and murder. This is getting extremely old, and I'm tired of hearing about it. In reality, an outburst, especially a violent outburst, depends on the person. That person has control of their own choices and actions. And those actions that they're showing are pretty much reflecting how they were once treated. If they were verbally abused, bullied, hated for who they are when it wasn't hurting anyone, Their violent action shouldn't be questioned or surprising. Is it still wrong? Yes. But wrong also are their abusers. Both parties have equal blame. But for some of us, the violent video games are part of our therapy. And if we have friends to play them with, that just makes them better. So, in conclusion, never push the buttons of someone who keeps walking away from you because you're verbally abusing them, because they're this close to cussing you out for verbally abusing them. Or maybe worse. Those are the ones who've learned control, like me, which is why I post all my stuff here on YouTube when I need to vent, because I want people to know that they're not alone. Anger anxiety is real, and it sucks.